Well, so I guess I should ask, and I think I know what you're going to say. And do you feel the term over editing should even exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because you
All right.
can over edit. And I think the over editing is more about bad editing. So
Okay.
that's the point where you're trying to get every single teeny tiny crutch word, filler phrase, stumble to the detriment of it sounding, quote, natural. So I will share a little story here of a
Yeah.
time where I agreed to be on someone's podcast. Super fantastic guy. He had, listened to my podcast and my content and it helped him launch his own show. And he wanted to have me as one of his first guests on his. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. I love it. This was a few years ago. I was like, absolutely. I'll come be on your show. I'll help support you and I'll share it and all these things and we'll get the word out. And then the interview was fantastic. It was great chemistry. It flowed really nicely. And then he sent me the final episode, and there were so many just hard, bad cuts in the middle of words.
Mm,
It was just not good. I mean, unlistenable. I couldn't even finish it. And I just couldn't bring myself to share it. And that was a situation where it was over edited. He
okay.
needed to rein it in a little bit and realize that you're not going to get absolutely every tiny little thing out. And if you try to do that, then it will sound unnatural and it will be like, wait a minute, there was very clearly more to this word and she just got cut off. And so, yeah, you do have to know, what to cut and what to leave.
Okay, that's a very good point. And I guess I was thinking, personally, I guess I relate over editing to the fillers, to the ums, the
Right.
uhs, the lip smacks, the likes. I mainly my list of peeves. Like these
Right.
can't be there. I
Yeah.
just said like. I will cut that. So this now I got to cut this whole damn part, and now I got to leave it just for the sake of the conversation. But I
Right.
try to cut those words out when they can be cut out.
Yeah.
That's usually what I relate to filler words. But you bring up an excellent point that when it gets to that point where you're like, I only see that little spot in waveform, and it's usually the S at the end of an S word. And sometimes I'll clip that thinking it's a sound, but then when I go back and re-listen, I'm like, oh wait, that belonged. I have to go
Right.
and I undo the cut and put it back in.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's something that anybody that's editing, whether they've been doing it for years or doing it for 10 minutes, making sure that they're not trying to make their job harder
Right.
is a pretty good way to look at it. Like the things where there's spaces and easy edit points where you can get
Hmm.
rid of it to where I guess this is probably the easiest way to generalize it. If a person was listening and they weren't in the room with you and they would never know that it was there if you removed it, get it out of there.
Right.
But if it's going to be to the point where it makes the conversation sound cut up and just
Hmm.
very, very choppy, leave it alone and move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll save
Yeah.
yourself
And
a lot of time.
usually, right. And usually those moments happens when the words blend together. If you have somebody who has like a deeper voice or they talk really fast and so the words all blend, that's going to be a little bit harder and you have to leave more in those situations. But I mean, to your point, if I have somebody who just, I mean, they have butchered this sentence and I got to like piecemeal it together to get it to be one coherent thought, and I do sometimes have to cut mid word, then I will usually give it two or three passes, quick passes. If it still doesn't sound right, I'm leaving it and moving on. And that just is what it is. Sometimes you have to leave in the stuff that I would really love to be able to take out. But in the end, it needs to be a clean edit rather than an edit just for the sake of editing it.